I decided to pull cards first to see what the energy wants to tell us. And the first card I pulled was the 7. And then I pulled another card, which is the 24 Soul Portal. And that adds up to 6. So when we're at 6s and 7s, if you don't know what that phrase means, it means we are confused. We want to do this, but this is happening or something. There's a confusion about our decision. Right now, I feel like there's a lot of energy out in the world that is confusing because many of us have not experienced what it's like to be in a place of uh, such uncertainty, such tension. We usually just go along, do our thing, you know, follow the kind of whatever we need to do, and we feel very safe and secure. And right now, there's a lot of uncertainty. And part of the reason there is so much uncertainty is because we are going through this massive change. Now, I've probably spoken about it. Other people have talked about how massive this change is. In fact, it's so massive we can't imagine. Uh, but all that said, it doesn't really matter because here we are. We have to do things and experience it. And what we have to do is not something that we are used to. We haven't been shown how to lead ourselves out of this situation. I'm thinking or feeling or hearing from the Akashic records this idea of, in the Bible, Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt. And there's a lot of confusion, right? People are like, I don't want to do this. This is crazy. Like, why would I want to leave everything? Yes, I'm enslaved. It's hard, but I want to, I don't want to leave what's safe. And there's so much risk, and it's scary and whatever, right? Like there's so much. So it's kind of like that. We're at this place where we're looking for somebody to go, okay, this is what you do. But no one's actually telling us that, right? There isn't somebody sitting around a note going, yes, bake this bread and at a certain hour, let's all meet and don't worry, we got God with us, so it's all going to go well. And, you know, I think if somebody did say that to us, we'd probably think they were crazy. Like, why would I trust you? I don't know who you are. And, what are you talking about, right? So all of this speaks to this idea that we live in a mystical world, right? There's so much unknown, and our conditioning about certainty, needing to be certain, but not having anything except maybe our religion or our faith or some leader to tell us, okay, this is what you do, this is what it looks like. And now they're telling us things and doesn't seem like they know what they're doing because they probably don't, right? Everything has been based on an old system. And because it's been based on an old system, that was about contraction. It was about not trusting yourself. It was about just following orders and it seemed to work, but now it's not working when we follow what people say. They're inconsistent, they can be scary. Everything feels sort of strange because people are acting weirdly. I've said to myself a million times, just make this make sense. Make this make sense. Nothing makes sense. Everything's upside down. The people I thought I could trust have turned out to be people that I can't trust, right? So there's all of that energy. And the good thing about it is, because there's always a good thing, right? The good thing is that now we know we can't rely on someone else telling us, oh, you need to do that so that. Now we know, oh, I'm going to have to get clear about what it is I want. I have to do the discernment. I have to make the effort to find out what's really going on, how I really feel, what's my edge, what's my limit, What do I need to do if I reach that limit? How do I show up to lead myself? All of those things are part of this. The seven speaks to the spiritual aspect of ourselves, that part of us that has faith or needs faith in order to trust the unknown, the thing inside us, the thing that lights us up, like music and dancing and people laughing and just that feeling we get when we do push through something difficult and we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I did it. I feel amazing. I feel so much more powerful because I stood up for myself in whatever way. It can be the tiniest of ways. And that's the energy of leading, right? Leading oneself, right? We can't rely on somebody else to save us or point the way. We have to do it and kind of do the best we can. So the seven is about trusting our intuition. But I think it goes deeper than just, oh, I got a gut feeling. I think sometimes our gut feeling is based on something we fear, so it's not very clear. So our intuition is like the lightning strike. It's that awareness, something is opening, something's available. I see some light over there, and even though it's scary, I'm going to go towards it because I feel, right? I'm going to follow that part of myself. I'm not going to talk myself out of what's true, and I'm not going to talk myself into something that's not true. So I think this speaks so much to that lightning strike, that sudden awareness, that opening. Oh, here's the pathway, here's the light. Let me get here. Let me do this thing that I need to do. And build my capacity to trust myself, right? It just like, even if we all have it inside us, it doesn't just miraculously work very well. Like anything, we have to actually do things to increase our capacity. Like it doesn't matter if you got a feeling. You don't know where that feeling goes unless you do something and you start to see, oh, this feeling came from fear. So what I was doing there wasn't took me, round and round or in the wrong direction. So now I've got to be more um, aware, and maybe I've got to ask better questions. And I feel like I've talked about this before, but it's coming up, so I'm talking about it. And this card, the 24. So this card, the Soul Portal 24, speaks to the idea of being in the place we want to be in, right? So it's like, what do we see when we look at our surroundings? Do we see things going wrong? I can never have what I want. Other people are trying to cheat me or something like that. Or do we see opportunity? Do we see possibility? Do we see that this experience here is asking us not only to trust and to surrender old ideas that, that certainly brought us here, but also to pay attention, listen, look, be aware. Okay, so when somebody behaves a certain way, I have said it means this, or somebody I trust has said it means that. Now I have to rethink it. I actually just saw like a little blurb somebody had posted, which I thought was very relevant. I don't remember who it was, but they were saying, I've had to read, I think maybe it was an article, and this is just a piece of an article in some paper or magazine. It's kind of, she's in the US, she's a Democrat and she lives in a very Republican area and is realizing that she's had to change her opinion about people who vote differently to her. These people that are here helping her, coming very quickly to assist her if one of her animals is in pain or just supporting her. I think it's a female, just supporting this person, right? In all the ways that good people do, right? And then she's like, well, maybe I can't see them as those terrible I don't know how she looked at them, like these awful people that just can't see what's true. And I have to see them as just really good people that have a different opinion to me, right? Now, I don't know if that's her conclusion. I'm just saying this is kind of where we're all headed, where we've had this splintering, like this means this and that means that, right? And we don't know if it actually means that. It's meant that for a long time, but is it true that somebody who has a different opinion to us is not a good person? Is it true that we need to vilify them in order to feel good about ourselves? These are questions we have to ask ourselves because at the end of the day, the thing we seek the most is connection. We want connection with ourselves, we want connection with our faith, we want connection with other people in our society. And one of the biggest mistakes, I believe, the spiritual community and just in general, community in general has made is this idea, which comes from trying to control things. I'm just going to control my environment. I'm going to control your environment. Everybody think this way, do this thing. So if somebody else comes in and has a different thought, we're going to try to persuade them that we're right. So they'll come into our group, or we're going to shame them so that they slink away in shame, right? That they go away because this just doesn't work to have a person who doesn't agree with us. And that thinking is so dangerous because we don't change the world. Neither do we become more connected to each other by insisting that we're right and someone else is wrong. It isn't forcing somebody to agree that our belief system is the belief system. So funny. I don't know if you know that I'm Jewish, so I'm going to put it out there so that you know I am Jewish because I'm very proud to be a Jew. And I know there's this current climate, there's a lot of people who don't like Jews and have all these stories about what Jews have done. And many of those things are lies, right? They're stories, they're not true. But when you don't know, you might believe it. And of course, that's your prerogative to believe what you believe. I think the danger here is when we take beliefs from other people, maybe somebody we look up to, our teacher or the community leader or whatever, somebody famous, and they tell us something and we go, oh, that must be the truth. And then we spend a lot of energy defending that and saying, yes, well, they choose, I'm going to bash this other group. And what does that do, really? It diminishes our power. It's like we're getting behind somebody else's story and saying, yes, what they said is true. And we don't know why they said that. Is it true because they had an experience that showed them it was true? Is it true because their minds and through their growth, their minds were manipulated by someone? I mean, there's a million reasons why we can believe things. When we hear something from someone, we need to go and check for ourselves, right? We need to listen to multiple voices. And I mean, that's what I did when October 7th, 2023 happened. I was like, people are attacking me for defending my people, right? My group, and saying horrible things and not getting behind my group. And I'm like, wow, this feels horrible, right? It feels horrible to be ostracized. But that was such a powerful lesson in realizing that it's easy to be ostracized when we're afraid to say something. We're afraid to stand up for ourselves. We're afraid to go, wait, that's not true. Let's talk about this, right? So this is the bigger part of my argument, not my particular story. I have to share how I have come to more to this place. I've always known it, but to actually live it is very different. And I think that's what's happening. We're all having to live it in some way or another. We're all having to experience what it feels like to be ostracized or to be separated, to have no support or to have things taken away from us. And what will we do with that? And to me, the most dangerous thing is to just side with somebody that we admire for some reason and just repeat what they say. So, like in my case, I knew a little, but I didn't know the whole picture. And I was like, okay, I need to know more about this. Not because I want, quote unquote, the other side to suffer. I don't. I want every human to have a loving experience, and it's horrible. War is horrible. I mean, but we're not going to end war if we don't change the way we um, work with each other, how we connect with each other, how we treat each other, right? War is the thing that happens when people dehumanize one group and then another group to get everyone to agree, which is what happened in my case, with the story of being a Jew, right? Okay, you're all bad, you all need to suffer, and that story is not over yet. However, why I brought this up was because I had a dream the other day. And like I said, my story is my story. So you have to find your own thing that you can relate to about what I'm talking about. It can be from being a woman, it can be from having a shitty boss, or being in an environment where somehow you were pushed aside or denied your right to have your own experience. And this is coming up for many, many people, right? And so I had this dream where I was somewhere, and it was kind of like a church, and I was up on the kind of balcony and looking down, and there was a man there, a teacher, who I admired very much. And he was teaching a class, and I was, this great man. And then he started saying something horrible about Jews or Israel, I can't remember, Jews. And I got so mad, I was screaming out to him, that's your truth, not the truth, right? So this kind of thing is just how I feel about all of it, that when we think that what we believe has to be believed by everyone, that that's just one truth, that we all have to agree, then we deny each other or others who are not agreeing with us the right to explore and experience something different. Like somebody has an experience I haven't had, I can't say that they're wrong about how they feel. I can't say they're wrong about the opinions they have about it. But to say that everyone has to agree, or I'm right and everyone else is wrong, and only the people in my group are right, is what we've experienced for thousands of years, right? We've been forced to agree that all of us must say the same things, and anyone who stands out or doesn't agree must be punished, vilified, ostracized, all those things. And I think as a woman, I've certainly experienced that as a woman, right? So I know there's so many ways we can all identify. I think even as a man, probably there are, I'm not a man, so I don't know, but I'm sure there are ways that men feel that they have been forced to behave, or things have been taken from them, just like as a woman, as a child, as a girl, I had that experience. Things were taken from me, the ability to do certain things, or kind of, permission and all that stuff that I actually believed when I was a child. Like, you can't do this because you're a girl, or, I didn't agree with the idea that I couldn't, but I felt helpless in this insistence by, other people around me saying, well, this is the truth, right? So it's this, there is no other truth. And this time, and the reason why we feel so uncertain is because we want someone else, some leader, to tell us this is the truth, this is the way, and then we can just kind of follow along. And there's a lot of ease around doing that. It's like, yeah, let me just follow this person. I don't really have to think for myself or do anything. I don't need to go do some research, go listen. Like I had to, in my situation that I mentioned, I had to go and go, okay, I don't really know enough about this to say anything too intelligent to all of these people who are accusing Israel or Jews of doing stuff. I better go and look it up, right? What I don't know. I knew a little, but not enough to speak confidently. And so listening to people, experts, all different experts from all different sides of the fence. I don't just want to listen to people who agree with me. I want to hear from everyone so I can go, you know what? In this area, I am delusional or whatever. And in this area, no, I'm on the mark. And I really want to understand, right? This isn't about being right. This isn't about like you did a bad thing, I did a good thing. I'm a good person, you're a bad person, or I'm a bad person, you're a good person. I think it's just going, we're all human. And how can we humanize the people that are on the other side as opposed to how can we dehumanize them? And when we are idolizing people, so we idolizing a leader, for example, say in elections, we choose someone because like, okay, this person's going to save us. Clearly, they're going to do all the right things. So I'm going to idolize them. I'm going to idolize a singer or whatever, this newspaper that always seems to tell the truth. When we idolize people, opinions, situations, it's dangerous because we're not grounded in our opinion. We're just listening to someone else's opinion and repeating it. So we're like an echo chamber. But when we step back and go, okay, so they're saying this, I like them. And I agree with what they're saying, but let me just see, what are other people on the other side saying? What are people in the middle saying? What are all the different people saying? So I can get a much more balanced opinion about what's happening. Because when we look at not only idolizing somebody, so we just don't see anything that they do wrong, and in the opposite, whoever the opposite is, we see a lot of them wrong. And I think what even makes it more uncertain is when the person we look to save us, oh, they're going to lead us, they're going to be the one. And then they dehumanize the competition. It's always a warning bell. If I find myself dehumanizing someone because I feel like I'm right and they're wrong, then it's a warning to me that I am letting my ego, right, my idea of needing to be right, be more relevant than my idea to have peace, to bring about change, to engage with people who maybe I wouldn't engage with. So that's really what this is about. We are going to have to separate from the idea, and that's what creates all this fear and uncertainty and worry, is I'm afraid, like I'm just speaking in the general. I don't feel afraid, quite honestly. I feel like this is just our path, and I'm trusting the path because I know what this time is doing is calling me to behave in a certain way, as I'm sure it's doing for you. And so, as a collective, we will look to these people and go, oh, they can save us. I personally don't believe anyone can save us. Like if I want something, I'm the one that has to stand up and speak out and be very clear. I don't want people to be treated badly, then I'm the one that has to take action if I see that happening, right? Within safety and all those things, like not overstep the mark or do something crazy, but hold myself to a standard. If I believe a certain thing, then I must uphold it, right? And if I want a certain thing, then I have to do the things to have that thing, right? So this idea that, well, that person's a bad person, this person's a good person, I'm going to follow the good person, and they're going to lead us to the promised land, is a very dangerous faith, if you will, because it's putting your trust in another person, and another person. You don't know why they do the things they do. You don't know all the things behind them. It doesn't mean they're not a good person. It just means that They could have reasons you know nothing about for doing the things they do. And if they speak badly about other people, how much can you trust them, right? If they're saying, well, my opponent is this and my opponent is that, I always think that's a red flag because they should be saying, what are they doing? Who cares about the opponent? Tell me about you. What are you going to do? What do you believe? How do you hold the energy of truth? How do you show up when things are difficult? We're looking at people to show us that so that we can do the same. And if they don't show us those things, we have to do it anyway, right? We have to find somebody else to follow, or we have to uh, find numerous people to follow and go, okay, I like this piece, I like that piece. I'm going to do a little of this, a little bit of that. And at the end of the day, I have to be clearer about who I am in order to pave my way through this challenging time. All right, so it probably won't be a reading next week because I won't be available, but I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. And of course, appreciate the likes, the follows, the comments, the questions.